welcome to Ames Art. Today we will be painting this beautiful flowers leaves pattern watercolor painting. For the supplies, I will be using 140 pounds watercolor paper, and for watercolor brushes, I will be using 5 round watercolor brush and a 0 round watercolor brush for details. For mixing my paints, I'm using this small glass plate and I'm using this paper towel for blotting my brush. For paints, I'm using this Superior watercolor paints. It's a 42 color set. And I have also taped down my watercolor paper with masking tape. To start off painting, I first mixed my paints. So first of all, for the light blue color, I added a little bit of Prussian blue with a lot of water and mixed it to make a very light blue color. And then for a dark blue, I added a lot of Prussian blue color with very less water to have a concentrated blue color, dark blue color. To start off painting flowers, I take the dark blue color paint on my brush and start painting 5 small dots, which will be the starting point of the petals. And then I will rinse my brush and dab it onto the paper towel and start making the petals by moving my brush over to those previously made dots and making petal shapes. And then I will make all the 5 petals in the same way. Then I will use the wet into wet technique and add the dark blue paint to the edges of the petals so that it flows throughout the petal. Then I will use the back of my brush to add details on the petals. In the same way, I will make all the flowers. But sometimes I switch back and forth between the steps. And in some places I will not make the whole flower like I did here at the corner, just showing one petal of the flower. Now for painting the leaves, I would take sap green paint on my brush and add it to the palette. Use the light green paint and make the leaf shape with your brush. And then add the dark green paint to use the wet onto wet technique on the leaf so that it spreads out throughout the leaf. For mixing the dark green paint, I mixed the sap green with dark blue paint, and for mixing the light green paint, I mixed sap green with a lot of water. So I repeat the steps on all the leaves, which I did right now. for the details, I use my 0 round brush and take the dark blue paint on my brush and start making details on the petals. Basically, the details in the middle of the flower, but not the stamen. I'm talking about the details on the petals, which go towards the middle of the flower. So I'm making those shading. Basically, I think I should have said shading. So I'm doing the shading on the petals, as you can see, and I will do all of these shadings on every flower. Now using the same dark blue color, I will be also outlining the petals of the flower, and I will do with every petal the same thing. Now I'm gonna add a little light blue paint to some of the petals of the flower, not all of them, on some of them, so that it creates some depth, and I will do the same thing on all of the flowers. Now I'm going to mix dark green paint on my palette by adding sap green with Prussian blue and mixing it properly. It will make dark green. So I will use this dark green for the details on the leaves and shading. For the details on the leaves, I add line to the leaves and shading to the leaves, but I'm not doing the same thing on all of them. After that, I'm adding light green paint to some of the leaves, like we did in the flower that we added light blue paint. In the same way, we are adding light green paint on some of the leaves to create more depth. Then I'm using dark blue paint to make small flowers in between the flowers and leaves we made previously. for making the stamen of the flower, I will be using my gold metallic watercolor paint and just make dots in the middle of the flower. Now the painting is complete. Once your painting is dry, you can take off the masking tape. So this was all for this video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Bye.